Start off by brushing my brows upwards just so I can see my actual shape. All you're going to need is some thread and some concealer. So take your thread. I'm going to double up mine just so it's a little bit thicker. And then to coat it in your concealer, I like to just take some out and wrap the string around the concealer wand, just like this. Make sure you're like right on the part that has the concealer, and then just pull down. You don't want to do it all the way down, leave a little bit of room for your fingers. So we're going to start by creating our guides. You're going to need your nose and your eyes for this. You're going to use the end of your nose and the very end of your eye. So there's our first guide. I know I kind of messed up, but there's our first guide. Connecting the dots really, like the end of my nose to the end of my eye, and then just straight, and that's where the end of our eyebrow should be, which is pretty accurate. My eyebrows end perfectly right there, so good to know. And then this guide is same area from the nose and right in the very center of the pupil. Oh, I got my lashes a little bit, but it's okay. Make sure that your lines are pretty visible, and then that's where the arch should end or begin. We'll see. And this one's a little bit more tricky, so you're going to use your nostrils as a guide, and just right in the very center of my nostril, and then go straight up. Okay, that's our first guide. Okay, so here are my guides. I just went in and made sure that you can clearly see them and make sure that they're perfectly symmetrical. Now we can start to kind of draw or get the actual shape down. These are just the guides of where it should start, where it should begin, and where it should start to arch. But now we're going to make sure that they're perfectly straight. So the next thing you want to do is draw two parallel lines. This is going to be how wide you want or how thick you want your brow to be. So I'm just going to draw two parallel lines where I see my brows should begin. Here's the one at the bottom and then the one at the top. Okay, so just make sure that that is pretty parallel. So now you have a perfect little rectangle right there in the very center. Now you're going to do a little X from corner to corner. Okay, so now we found the very center. We're going to take our string and then just go right through the center. Try to do this parallel to the floor. So this you want to kind of line up right to the temples. I know it looks very complicated, but I can start to see where the brows need to be and where they're not symmetrical, so this is going to help a lot. Once you get this down, you'll have an idea of like how your brows need to look. Okay, so I have a thin brush here. Now I can start to show you guys where you need to connect the dots. So at this point, it's just all about connecting. So you want to connect here where the beginning of the brow is, that little corner, to this line right here where the lines cross. And now we found like the bottom of our brow. And you're going to do the same thing to this corner right where the end of your eyebrow is to where the lines cross. Oh my gosh, my hair. It looks all messy though. Now I want to connect this part right here where the line crosses to this part here where the other line crosses. Okay, so this is it. These are all the lines that we need to do just to make sure that it's perfectly symmetrical. These are the lines that they would do if you're gonna get like your eyebrows tattooed. So now that you have your guide, all you need to do is you could either do what I'm gonna do and just clean up the lines and kind of clean up the negative space around my eyebrows, that's what I like to use the guides for. But if you want to, you can just fill in all the space in between the guide, so you'll have your perfectly symmetrical eyebrow. But I personally don't like that because I don't like my eyebrows to look that harsh. So I'm gonna do the opposite and just clean up around it. What I'm gonna do now is take the concealer I normally use to carve out my eyebrows, because I have my guide now and it's just really easy. This brow here is a little bit lower than this one, so I'm just gonna go right over it with concealer. So now I know that I need to kind of tweeze that area. I'm just taking a brush and smoothing out the rest of the concealer. Cleaned up the area around my eyebrows. My eyebrows are a little bit thinner than I would normally like, only because when you are creating the lines, these two parallel lines, that is going to determine how wide or skinny or thick you want your eyebrows to be. I drew mine a little bit too close together, so made my entire eyebrow a little bit thinner. So if you want thicker brows, just be aware to make those lines a little bit more spread apart. Alright, so now I'm just going to fill in my eyebrows. I like to use my Brow from Benefit. I use the shade 4 and just like a thin angled brush. Okay, so here is my eyebrow in between the lines. So just using the guides, I've filled in my eyebrow, and now I'm just gonna go in and fill in the other one. I'm not even gonna look at the other side. I'm just gonna go strictly off the guides and see how well I did. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup, and I'll be back so you guys can see the finished result. I think with makeup it will look a little bit more put together. You'll be able to see the shape and everything. So I'll be right back.